welcome to Birmingham. As you might tell from the dark background, it's not daytime and it's not May. This is the LDWA100 Elephant, Bear and Bull for 2023. It was due to be in May. Well, in fact, the event ran successfully in May. I had a personal commitment, so couldn't make it, so thought we'd wait till a nice November, autumn time to do it. So it's about 6:30 in the morning. Just parked up in the van near the start, and we'll get going in a few minutes. I suspect the videos this year will be rather dark because obviously it's late November, so not going to get much daylight. So the idea is now start just as sort of kind of in the first bit of dawn, although it's still pretty dark, and head torch outside. Hopefully have a good run through the day, get a bit of the scenery because I think it's the more hilly scenery in the first half. Get that bit done in the daylight. And then hopefully as it starts to get dark we get towards the second half, which is more the sort of Coventry, Warwick type bit, which is a bit more urban, although it looks like there's some good green routes in between that. So might get a bit of street lighting, and then see how we go through the sort of fairly long night. It's quite mild at the moment, due to be colder tomorrow, so we'll sort of see how that happens overnight in terms of how much the cold comes in. But yeah, Elephant, Bear and Bull 100 in Birmingham. November 2023, just about to start. We'll see you soon, folks. Good morning, Birmingham. We're 10 miles in and just got our first bit of mud. That's the view back to Birmingham, and possibly somewhere over there is the Malverns. It is a good view, but probably doesn't come out on the camera. Yeah, first 9 miles, all tarmac. Sort of knew it was going to be a bit like that. It's getting out to the centre, along the canal towpath, nice and easy, straightforward, through some nice bit of urban parks, and through a bit of Birmingham waking up on a lovely morning. Yeah, just a mile ago, just climbed up this first hill, which is one of really two sort of hills of the early on bit, and treated to a really nice view. As I say, 360-degree view across to Birmingham, across the Malverns, across the Shropshire Hills. That's all good. Felt a little bit hard going those first 10 miles, but I think that's probably just the tarmac thing, so I must have done a pretty good pace, which is all miles in the bank. 10 miles gone. Good morning, Birmingham. So now at 20 miles. Very much a two-speed thing. Fair bit of tarmac bits, obviously linking some of the better sections, which are obviously fast and quite runnable. But then as soon as you get off the road, it's all just obviously understandable after about 6 weeks of constant rain, completely waterlogged and saturated. Just makes it very slow going, not at all runnable, barely walkable. Yeah, not at all runnable on those bits. But hey, sun's out, it's good weather today, nice and mild. It's supposed to be getting colder overnight, but nice and mild at the moment. Really glad there's a bit out in the country a bit. Really glad to be doing this section of the route in the daylight. Just waiting for a car to run me over. Yeah, really good to do this section in the daylight, because it's obviously just easier navigating across the fields when you can see the stile at the opposite side you're aiming for. And doing the kind of city centre stuff in the dark shouldn't be as bad. So yeah, 20 miles up. So that's 30 miles up. Sun's still out, still a really nice day. Once we dropped after 20 miles, once we dropped south of the M42, very much into sort of rolling farmland, which I'm sure is much nicer in June. Just incredibly heavy going this time of year with all the rain. So hopefully that's that main bit out of the way, although I know I've got some more farmland overnight. We're just about to hit the canal, and there's generally quite a bit of canal that takes us into Stratford. Would be good to clear Stratford, which is about mile 40, before dark, just to kind of get a good little milestone. Just sort of a psychological thing on the route. It's kind of a bit of an arrow point, and it almost feels, it's not halfway, but it almost feels like you're starting to curve back round once you get to Stratford. So to hit that in the daylight would be nice, and we'll hopefully do that with a bit of towpath bashing in a moment. But yeah, sun's been out, really nice rolling hills, good views, all the rest of it. I think although we're only on mile 30, I think I've done half the elevation now, very much front loaded, and as I say, quite a bit of urban and canal stuff to come later, although there is some farmland overnight as well. As on previous LDWA 100s, some of the fence posts have got little kind of 1-inch Scotch light reflectors that the organisers have stapled on. Super helpful at night time to kind of spot where you're going the opposite side of the field, but actually just a good little psychological check in the daytime. Gives you a bit of confidence you're on the route, so you're not constantly having to sort of look at the map and stuff. So yeah, 30 miles down, sun's out at the moment. Hopefully we'll get at least one more of these in the daylight, and then I think you'll be in for quite a few rather dark and unscenic 10-mile updates during the night, but hey ho. So that's 40 miles up, and we're just coming towards the outskirts of Stratford-upon-Avon. Yeah, quick product review. Co-op pork pies with cranberry, strongly not recommend. Bit of a limited choice. Went to Co-op, no normal pork pies, only pork pies with cranberry. It's not even December yet. Don't know what that's that about, but wasn't really in a particularly strong negotiating position, so went with it. Yeah, whoever thought it was a good idea to put fruit in a pork pie probably needs to consider their life choices, but then again, I'm doing a 100-mile run, so not really want to talk about life choices. Anyway, aside from that, still a sunny afternoon. Sun's obviously beginning to get a little bit low now, but yeah, 40 miles done, getting towards the outskirts of Stratford. There's then a bit of a long section, and then a sort of urban bit of kind of Warwick, Coventry, Kenilworth type stuff. That'll be sort of the early part of the evening, so through Stratford in daylight by the look of it. Be nice if I get a few of the fields as it starts to fade, and then it'll be the bit of urban stuff for the first bit of the night. 40 miles done. Get out, you bard. So that was my Stratford joke. 50 miles up, we're at the halfway point. Bit weird because it's been dark for a couple of hours already, but it's only about 6:30, and yet the kind of fields are sort of isolated, and the little villages seem really quiet as well. There's not much activity, so it kind of feels a lot later. It sort of feels like we're in the middle of the night territory, whereas it's actually only about 6:30. We do get to Warwick in a little bit, so I guess that'll probably be a little bit weird in terms of kind of the sorry, just trying not to get hit by a car on a country lane. Yeah, so I guess Warwick will be a bit weird because that'll probably still be quite lively and people around on a Thursday evening, despite being sort of that time. Hang on a minute. Yeah, not the best lane to stop on. It started raining a little bit. It's quite light, but this was forecast, and then there's some cold weather coming behind. It's absolutely fine on the sort of tarmac when you're moving at a good pace and still nice and warm, but then it gets a bit cold when you're on the sort of quagmire stuff, so it's a bit of a quandary for dress code. But we'll keep going a little bit. 50 miles, halfway, all good stuff. I'll keep it short because I'm just blinding myself and not getting anywhere. Warwick wasn't particularly good. Found a chippy, but there's a massive queue, very busy, so it took ages to get served. Then it was raining quite heavily by that point, so it got a bit cold and wet whilst drinking it. Had a bit of faff filling the water bottles, so Warwick wasn't one to remember. But actually, since we got out of Warwick, the trails have been a bit better. It's been a bit firmer. I'm generally going for the sort of march overnight rather than any running, but if I get a decent jump going overnight, wait for the light, we might almost be able to do some running at the end, but that might be a bit optimistic. But that's 60 miles down in a good time, and we now go into the night for a bit of marching. Cheers. So that's 70 miles up. 60 miles feels a very long time ago. I'm just really quite tired. In fact, I'm very tired. I'm quite fortunate, no specific aches and pains, possibly a bit of downstairs chafing, but that's to be expected. But yeah, fortunate, no aches and pains, just incredibly tired body, so struggling to get any pace even where walking, kind of debating whether to find somewhere to get in a bag and have a half-hour kip or to soldier on and do that sort of maths. But I'm just on the outskirts of Coventry, so we'll just do Coventry at the 70 mile point, and then we'll see what happens the other side of Coventry. So that's mile 80. Almost kind of feels as if there's not that much to go, but actually it's just one of those where you start working out the times, given how much my pace is dropping, and it's still going to be a very, very long time. Had a little quick nap in just outside Coventry, 15-minute thing, not quite a nap, sorry, just 15 minutes sit down, but feet were so painful to get going again. They got alright after 20 minutes or so, but it just took so much to get going again that I don't think we're going to be revisiting that. Also added a bit of a detour because why not do a bit of extra distance. The route came through Meriden but didn't actually go to the cross, so I just added a little bit to go and touch the cross, as you do when you're this close to it, sort of thing. So yeah, 80 miles down. There's a few more miles of mud, which is going to be annoying, but then after that we hit the canal, so we'll see if I get any sort of second wind or something, but at least hopefully on the canal let's head down and get going and not have any more mud, so fingers crossed. A few more miles of mud that'll be very, very slow, and then get on the canal probably by sort of daybreak. So that's 90 miles up. It's kind of what passes for daylight, I think. I think it's going to be a bit of a gloomy day anyway. A bit more sort of, well, medium light rain came in a while ago and sort of just keeps coming and going. Wasn't so nice over the top with a bit of a northerly wind on it, sort of on the exposed fields. The mud truly saved its best. Well, I think it's best for last. Hopefully I've done it now. The last lane was just an absolute kind of river quagmire, quick mud type thing. But I'm down onto the canal now, Grand Union Canal at the moment. I think I stay on this all the way round, and then it's a few miles running on hopefully fairly benign stuff. It's certainly going to be a long run. I've done 90 miles now, but it's definitely more than 10 miles to go in terms of the total. Meriden would have added much, but maybe only half, 3/4 of a mile. I guess they make the course a bit long anyway, just so no one feels short-changed when they get 99.9. So it's maybe looking like it's going to be about 103, which isn't brilliant because that's just more time trudging along. It's obviously not a normal 3 mile time, so could done without that. I'll see. I'll take a view when I get a bit nearer. There's the option just to cut the very last kind of corner off as I get back near to the car, but we'll see. So, but anyway, 90 miles done. In theory, pretty much 10 miles flat on the canal towpath, assuming I don't manage to get on the wrong side or take the wrong canal turning, and then a few miles running. So that brings up the century and the sun's come out. 100 miles done. Still 1.5 miles or so to go, unfortunately, to the finish. So got to grind that one out and then I'll do a little finish video. But yeah, 4th 100 in 4 years, which is a good achievement, but it's just more realisation that 100's aren't for me. First off, enjoyable, but then when you're grinding it out, it's kind of not great for the body. I don't get to enjoy the scenery. Not having much fun. Kind of defeats the purpose of going out trail running, really. So yeah, fab to do another 100. We're definitely going to take a rest for a while. You have permission to cut up my trail shoes if I decide otherwise. So that was the LDWA100 Elephant Bear and Bull 2024 brackets unofficial version of. Yeah, really good route. Kind of, there's inevitably going to be bits of canal around here, but I thought it was a really different route rather than, obviously they haven't got great hills, great big hills. So kind of use what they've got in terms of some of the cultural urban stuff. Some of the country parks, really spoilt for little country parks in each of this kind of towns. So used all of them and then linked together with farmers' fields. Obviously kind of beyond their control. It's just been so sodden and the soil here doesn't seem to drain at all. No idea what the farmers are doing with all their livestock and crops, because I can't see much happening in there. Yeah, but a really pleasing event, good route. Nick, done.